till about a couple of years back, what seemed to be a high vision of AI application, now AI is being used in a wide range of industries, from healthcare to finance, to improve efficiency, productivity, and decision making. So in closing, what I would say is that hype is an indicator that innovative, disruptive thinking is alive and kicking, a necessity for us as a society to keep evolving through technological breakthroughs. Thank you.
Thank you, very well said. In fact, the comment which was coming to my mind when you were talking about the hype of AI, they used to say necessity is the mother of invention, right? So imagination is the mother of innovation, right? So only when you imagine, then can you actually then figure out how to innovate. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Christoph.
Thank you very much for having me with such an esteemed panel of speakers. As a CEO of Vedelis, we are SME, or as we got told today, an MSME, to be fair, but we see and consult many multinational customers and organizations, and we see firsthand the use of the emerging technology roadmap in their strategic vision and organizations. So, but in the today rapidly evolving landscape of emerging technologies, it is crucial that we think about how we measure those technologies. Because actually the roadmaps that are out right now, for example from Barbara, from others too, only measure with two factors. They do have the risk factor and the value to the enterprise. I think it's fair to say at this point in 2023 that we need the third factor at least. And this factor will be ESG. So we need not only to see the potential risk, and not only see the value to the enterprise, but we see the broader environmental, social, and governance implications that those technologies might have. Among others that we heard on the Partnership Summit yesterday, the EU passed legislation for making it mandatory for companies with more than 500 employees to provide a very intensive ESG reporting if you want to make business in the EU. And I think that's not only starting with the organization itself, it's starting with technology that they are using. Some of the key technologies that are expected to have a significant impact of businesses and society over the next 2 to 10 years include, as we heard, AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, blockchain, augmented and virtual reality, and 5G, among others. With these technologies, offer immense potential benefits such as improved efficiency, enhanced customer experience, and cost of savings, as it comes with potential risks and challenges, of course. When evaluating these technologies, companies must consider their environmental impact, such as their carbon footprint, their resource consumption, as well as their potential contribution to social inequality, or even job displacement. And I think it's very important to get this into the roadmap and into the evaluations as well. My second point is that almost all large partners out there that are doing research on emerging technologies only ask large and mid-sized companies, and that's for a reason, of course. But the reality is that the most companies in every economy are SMEs or MSMEs. And those companies do not have a roadmap for 3 to 5 years, because actually if they would have, it would more or less be a fairy tale to them. So actually they hope to achieve this in 3 years, but SMEs always have the constraints that they need to be quick on the feet and to move fast from technology to technology to sustain and survive in the economy. So, but there is a possibility that SMEs can profit from the emerging technology roadmaps that are out there when they incorporate ESG factors into their decision-making progress and find a competitive advantage in using ESG as a factor into implementing those technologies to foster responsive innovation and to contribute more to this sustainable business ecosystem. Overall, in my opinion, the emerging technology roadmap provides valuable insight to help organizations understand the potential of emerging technologies, but it is essential to approach it with a discerning eye and consider broader ESG implications. So thank you very much, and as we heard, AI is out there, and there was a new AI. Actually, maybe you heard it, maybe you're not, but a lot of the speech was generated by AI. So decide for yourself if it was boring or not, or if it was fruitful. But actually, it is highly, highly interesting to work with those new emerging technologies.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss. Very useful comments, and I think you brought the perspective of the environment and the emerging technologies as they will play a role in future. I think that's a point which we should discuss further when we all get an opportunity to discuss further. Over to you, Arjun.
Thank you, Mr. Tharani, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, as Mr. Tharani said, there's a plethora of technologies being thrown at us in today's world, right? So it becomes very important for organizations to really cut through the noise and define a measurable impact or ROI. Now, whether emerging technology is a hype or reality, I would say it's a kind of mixture of both, because what is hype for one industry would be reality for the other. Right? And that's how the entire game is getting played out. But before I get into kind of a framework which organizations would look at, let's take a step back and just allude to the Gartner hype cycle which Mr. Tharani spoke about, and just look at it in a little different light. Because what's going to be important is to really understand the adoption life cycle of these technologies. So obviously the starting point is experimentation. When there is maximum noise about the technology, you have a lot of startups kind of investing their money and resources to try and find or do POCs. And I would really say a metaverse or generative AI would be that kind of a stage today. Then you have the early adopters, right, who kind of learn from the early innovators. They kind of put the technology to some kind of business use case. I would say quantum computing to an extent, 5G, Web 3.0, AR, VR would be in that stage today. In both these stages, there is a lot of risk involved. But again, there is also a possibility of getting the potential first mover advantage. So there is risk, but there is also an advantage. The third phase in terms of adoption is the early majority. These are the organizations who kind of get in when the technology has kind of matured. There are proven business use cases, and I would really put kind of AI, IoT into that bracket. And again, in this case, there is still a little bit of competitive advantage which you could kind of harness, but there are a lot of other entrants who are already there. And the last phase, of course, when the technology has kind of plateaued, reached its maturity curve, are the late majority. I would say cloud computing or RPA would be in that phase today, where there is hardly any competitive differentiation left, and there is everyone in your neighbor who is kind of adopting the technology. So the impact, measurable impact or the ROI, will heavily depend on the stage at which an organization decides to adopt that technology. There are a couple of important considerations which I think we need to make. One, and the first one is of course a deep understanding of the technology in relevance to your own industry and to your business growth plans. I think that is very, very important, because this is where I say hype for someone could be reality for the other. Second, I think you need to take a clear decision whether you want to be the first to get in or you want to wait for the market to mature before you get in. That will completely depend on your risk-taking ability. The third important consideration, I think, is going to be about the market readiness. Are your customers willing to pay for this? You may have a great business use case by using the technology, but your customers really may not be able to pay for it. And the fourth important point is the talent availability of the technology in the market. You don't really want to get into something which you cannot back up with the right talent available either internally or externally. And then depending on how you are kind of dealing with this consideration, I think then the decision should be very clearly about whether you want to invest your own money and resources to build a solution on the technology, or you want to partner with somebody who can help build it for you, or of course, for larger organizations, there is a third option that you look at a startup who already has a solution, which is aligned to your business case, and you kind of go ahead and buy that startup so that you have a jump start. So, to me, I don't think there is a very straight-cut answer to whether technology is hyped or it is real. It will all depend on that organization's timing to enter, the decision how long to hold on, when to exit if at all. And also the other interesting thing that is playing out today is one technology is propelling the other. So it's not about a single technology anymore. For example, the global adoption of 5G is going to heavily propel adoption of IoT, AR, VR and robotics. So it's not about just that one technology, it's about a plethora of technologies in a connected environment kind of playing out together. And in different stages of adoption, there are organizations who have succeeded. There are many organizations who have failed, but there are organizations who have clearly got that ROI and impact which they really wanted to. I can just think of a couple of examples which come to my mind. One is the Formula 1 racing, you all will be aware. We have been working with them. Their biggest problem was they kind of broadcast to almost 500 million viewers across the world, almost 22 calendar races across 5 continents. Every time there was a race, they had to set up a production unit on site, which meant tons and tons and tons of sports spray, equipments, and hundreds of people, which was of course kind of not a very sustainable approach. What they did was they kind of adopted high-speed networking and edge computing to really kind of create a remote operations center from where now centrally they are not only analyzing all their data, they are also doing the video production. So real time the data is captured from the racetrack and it's analyzed and then broadcasted to everyone. With this they were able to save almost 34% of their freight costs. What also helped was because travel now was not required or it was more predictable, their overall workforce diversity improved. And of course there was a huge improvement on the carbon footprint, and going back to the point that was made earlier towards the overall ESG priorities. So there are cases where the technology which is still today high is kind of made of very good use by some other industry. And I think, like I said, it will depend clearly on when you want to enter, where you want to enter, and whether you have clearly identified your impact that you really need to make in terms of that. Thank you.
Very, very valid comments. I think what you referred to very well is it becomes a real or hype depending on whether you make money on it or not. If you don't make money on it, then you say it was a hype. If you made money on it, then it's real. Okay, the only thing is you have to answer this question before you start, not after you. Anyway, over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay. Thank you, CIF, for inviting me for this panel discussion. Before I answer the question, I would like to go back to Mr. Vijay's point on necessity is the mother of invention. So obviously we all know the 20th century inventions, so I'm not going to talk about that, but let's look at 21st century inventions. And the way to look at that is very simplistic. What were the 3 biggest innovations in past 2 decades? The first innovation was early 2000 .com. None of the businesses or industries had a website. Everyone wanted to, oh, I need a .com. How do I do that? I need a .com. But if you ask them, why do you need a .com? I don't know. I need a .com. Yes? But now, before you even start a business, you know why you need a .com, to talk about your products and services. So it was a hype in early 2000, it is a reality now. Let's look at the third part of it. The third part of it is social media. Everyone is on Facebook. Yes, let's get on Facebook. Fine. Personally, we were all on Facebook. We found our lost friends from schools and colleges. But how do businesses make money out of it? Again, it was a hype. Let's get on Facebook. Let's get on LinkedIn. Let's create a company page. But why do we need it? Nobody knows. It's what we also call it at Successive is it's a hygiene. It's a part of digital marketing, we all need it. Fine, let's get on a Facebook, let's spend some dollars on digital marketing. But now, in 2015, 2020, we all know the value of it. We are able to monetize it. Companies are able to make money out of it. There are so many digital marketing companies flourishing, especially in COVID times. Why? Because we were all locked inside and we had to find information online. We were forced to find information online. What is the third hype that is happening? We all talk about artificial intelligence. Yeah? Do you think intelligence is new? How many of you think artificial intelligence is new? It's just started after ChatGPT. No? Right. So artificial intelligence is not new. What are some of the examples? It is actually not a hype either, it is a reality. For example, product companies like Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon did the digital transformation of knowing about you. Our Facebook, Google knows more about me than my wife. Right? Because they are able to track me, they can track about my preferences, what do I like, where do I travel, even Google. So going back to the second part of what Mr. Vijay was asking, how we as businesses implement these hypes. So the Gartner hype life cycle, which was obviously published in 2022, 2023 will be coming out, is three parts. The first is immersive experiences, second is artificial intelligence, and third is optimizing solution delivery. We focus quite a lot on immersive experiences and successive technologies, so I want to spend a few seconds on there. COVID transformed the whole metaverse of all of us going into AR and VR. Zoom was a reality, but now AR, VR is also a reality. Metaverse is desperately failing for Facebook and Meta, but Metaverse is also becoming a reality for many other businesses where they want to come into that platform. So how do you implement that? That is the third part of the question that I want to answer. What we do is, how do you create a strategy where you can have a fail-fast strategy in place?